Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm really good. I actually had a headache this morning, but I'm here. Yes,
I am right there with you because I feel like a little schoolgirl. Giggle, giggle, giggle.
Yeah.
No, I had a migraine this morning,
I'm
so
sorry.
yeah. So I sympathize with
Do
you.
I dare toast you with my coffee this morning? I brought my own cup this morning.
That's awesome. It looks a little lighter than normal. What kind of coffee is that?
It's a blonde roast.
Oh, is that like
and I like a lot of cream.
Taste or
it's like
it's like cream,
the essence.
milk,
I like a cup of coffee, but the essence of coffee. So that's where I'm at in life.
I like the coffee. So, and I chose my mug because I'm always late. So this morning I was running a little late because, of the
She
headache,
is, but it doesn't bother me. I think it's fine.
Well, thank
we
you.
get there. we all get there.
I was right on time for her, so everything was ready to go, but I was late in my mind of, what I needed to get done, where I needed to go, and the whole bit. And she brought pastries. What did you bring for us today?
I'm
so excited.
Early this morning, and I was so tired. I was like, I got to bring
She made
Cheryl
these this morning?
something. Yeah. And I'm like,
told you guys.
I got to bring you something. So those are gluten-free pumpkin caramel donuts with cranberry cinnamon goat cheese.
What was that? What?
Yeah, goat cheese frosting.
Cinnamon.
So I took that, cranberry goat cheese cinnamon log, and I put it in my food processor, and I whipped it up and made a frosting out of it because I was afraid we weren't going to eat it, and it's not expired for a couple more months, like 3 more months. But I thought, why not make a frosting out of it? Because the donuts are kind of sweet. They're little mini ones. I got
look at these.
a little mini
zoom in on these things. Aren't they cute?
Donut maker for Christmas from
cute.
my
Look
daughter.
at that.
And I'm like, yes, little cake donuts, little cute gluten-free donuts. Yeah, it's okay. It's all right.
These are really good.
I had too many. I had way too many this morning, so.
Yeah, she brought us like 12 or something like that, or
you have more than you in your household, so I thought I must bring more.
Regional real.
So
These
last
are really
night,
good. So
last night we went to dinner, and we don't go to dinner that often. Although it seems like this weekend we're going out quite a lot, and I'm telling you, restaurants put so much salt in their food.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't even eat it all. I had a few bites of everything.
They're just too good. They're so
You're
cute.
so funny. And then I brought the rest home. I just, it bums me out how much salt.
What restaurant did you go to?
I don't think I should name it because my husband loves it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to hurt his feelings. It was so kind of him to take me out. Oh, but the margarita, I will say, that Patron.
Her husband is kind, but that's so kind of him. He does it once a year.
Well, I don't go out that often. So
I know the feeling. I'm sorry. So you did what? Your margarita?
Yeah, the margarita was so
now
good.
we know why she has a headache. No, I'm kidding.
Probably.
I would have it.
That tequila.
I love
it's
margarita.
probably the fruit juice. It was dragon fruit.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that could be it. Or I need a sleep apnea machine, which is probably the case.
Yeah.
Or it could be both. It could be a combination. I don't know.
I know. I'm going to squirrel like I always squirrel. I actually need to start writing those down because I actually was talking to somebody and all of a sudden I had a double optic migraine. And so I don't know if I've covered it on this episode.
No. Yeah.
But so I get the regular migraines because of barometer from the weather changing, pressure changing.
Right.
But I've been getting these optic migraines, which are painless, which are great. But if you guys have ever used the kaleidoscope, right? And you turn it, and it's got those little things that change, and they're beautiful. That's what happens in your eyes. So I'm looking at these two people, and they pull out. It's like, oh my God! All of a sudden, they're like,
you're having, what is that one movie that was with Cumberbatch, what's his name? Benedict Cumberbatch, where he's Doctor Strange. And everything like shifts and
well, that was me.
Yeah, I know.
And you try to still talk normal, and they're just like, and because they're weird, they They do move, and they're pretty. Yeah, silver and white, and
the people in your
blingy,
focus are moving.
You know, but I'm just like, it's kind of hard to like, you know, focus. Yeah, it's pretty trippy. But sorry, I didn't mean to segue out of that. But
no, good
anyway.
segue. It's good to segue. Yeah.
So that was my little squirrel moment. But actually, back to the margaritas. Yeah.
I love
margaritas on a hot day, and then the chips and the salsa and some good Mexican food.
In months and months.
I don't because of the migraines.
Yes.
I don't. Yeah. I don't do the red wines from the tannins. If I do the sulfites, so
unless it's an organic wine with no sulfites, but I guess it still has sulfites. But
so I tend to not, even though I do enjoy wine, but when I do have wine, headache, and then if I do like a good Moscato. Yeah. But then, man, boy, do I get drunk real fast because I just don't drink. Right. Or here. I'll drink rum and Coke would be my choice. If I go out, it's dark rum. Yeah. With Coke. But again, I guess I just don't like the after effect because I am sensitive.
I am too. I'm very sensitive.
And also, I like to be in control. I don't like to not be in control. So
I like to be in control too. We have that in common.
Yeah. So it's like, well, not in control in that way. I don't want to go like, what did I do last night? You know, and then also drinking and driving and stuff like that. So I'm very passionate about that. So I don't want to do that. But I'm glad you had a good time. I mean,
I did. Yeah, it's hard to get me out like that. So
it's
although
hard
I have some upcoming events next week, I'll tell you. Where I'm going to go. I'm going to come over and record our podcast, and then I'm going to Seattle.
Good thing she didn't kick us to the curb.
I'm going to Seattle, and then we're going to stay at the Fairmont. And then
the Fairmont's nice.
Get a massage. And then we're
get
going
the Fairmont
to dinner at the Triple Door, and we'll see Los Lobos. I thought you'd be excited. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was my Christmas
That's
present
awesome.
From my husband. Well,
that's awesome.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. And I don't get out that much.
Because then you're going to come back to the hotel, right?
Right. But I was like, why are we staying at such a nice hotel when we're going to be gone from that beautiful room, for so long? I'd be like jogging back from the concert. Get me back to my room.
Because it's all about the experience.
It
so that is good job, Scott.
I know. So that'll be exciting. That'll be exciting.
Wasn't gonna. But anyway, so no, it's because that's all part of the whole experience. You know what I mean? So,
but I thought you'd like that Los Lobos.
Oh, Los Lobos. Yeah, that's awesome. So you'll have to.
So I am getting out more, and then the following Friday, I'm going to go see this Danish singer, which I am over the moon about, Lucas Graham. And my daughter got me tickets for that. That was her Christmas present. Boy, they went with experiences this year.
That's the way to go. I mean, anybody can give you a cup here, a cup. But to have an experience, not only that experience, and you're experiencing it with the people that you love. That's truly.
Yeah. So I'll have to fill you in on how
we've got more podcasts to talk about that.
That's right.
So I have nothing exciting to share.
Nothing.
No, I'm trying to think what I've got going on.
Well, you're busy. You're such a busy agent. You are.
But I gotta get out more. I'll live vicariously through you. Yeah. So I am going to start out with a quote.
Okay.
Which usually she will do the quote. So hang on. No, she will finish off our wonderful episode with a quote. But this one is from Helen Keller. And her quote is, "The best and the most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart."
Oh, yeah. So true.
Which is so true. Which actually, kind of funny, you just touched on that. There are the moments that we live. So, and it could be a small little moment, but and I think I know why she has this quote, and we'll talk about that.
I can't wait to hear.
Actually, that segues into Helen Keller, because Helen Keller is actually the person that I chose to speak about today. Okay. So she is amazing. I'm gonna just tell you guys right now.
Squirrel away.
because oh my gosh, because she has too much that I can even get down on paper, and we'd be here for like hours and hours. Just such an amazing person. So she was actually born June 27th in 1880.
Wow.
So imagine the time, in 1880.
I do.
And then she actually died June 1st of 1968. So just weeks away from her 88th birthday. So she lived a long life.
Wow.
She was born in, and excuse me, people in Alabama, if I do not get this word right.
Oh, that looks tough.
Tuscumbia?
Yeah.
Something like that. I apologize.
Never heard of it.
So I haven't either. But that's where she was born. And she does have siblings. So she has siblings that are, I say natural siblings, but what do you say that when they're your real siblings that are biological? That's the word. Sorry. When I get the migraines, words just don't quite get there. So she does have two biological ones. And one is Philip and one is a boy, obviously, and Mildred, a girl. And she actually, I was trying to go back and figure out the last part of the name. She actually got to, since she's the older, so these siblings came after her, she was able to name her brother. And so she named him Philip after this Reverend Philip.
Wow.
So I thought that was really special that she got to name her brother. And then she has two half-brothers. They're from her father's previous marriage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I'm not going to touch a lot about the parents because there's just a lot about that. Simpson and James.
Okay.
And so that was from the marriage prior.
What were the sources on this?
These are all, well, I was going to do that at the end, but these are all, these are all from American Blind, they're the American Foundation for the Blind.
Okay.
They're also, this is all actually all on that. So
American
I just, I got up online
Foundation
for the Blind. Yeah,
Okay.
let me double check.
Excellent.
But yeah, she, it's all up online. Yeah. Just want to make sure that I'm quoting that correctly.
I'm sure.
Yeah, so if you go up there to the AFB online is where I got all of that.
Okay.
So I have lots of papers in front of me because she just had quite the amazing life. So her mother is Kate Adams Keller, and that shortened her real name's like Kathleen. It's different, but they just call her Kate. And she was actually 21 years younger than her husband.
Okay.
So she basically, and she was the second wife. So she was devoted wife, and she was devoted to Helen. And for more information on like Kate's life, I do refer to C. Dorothy Herman's biography of Helen Keller, A Life, published in 1998. So she goes more into like the mom and all the details, and the dad. Okay. She does come from a prominent family. So on her mother's side, she's related to several, and I didn't go into details with this because like I said, we'd be here forever. We could do a recap of her on this subject if you guys are wanting to know more. Several prominent New England families. So they do come from prominence, and they did have wealth at one time, but then it went away. I didn't recap all of it because it does get into like with the father, with the slavery part and all of that. So I just kind of doing an overview because this is more on Helen herself, not on the parents. But so it's pretty much on the mother, and then the father. He was a captain in the Confederate Army. Sorry, Army. Creating new words today. And the family lost most of its wealth during the Civil War, and then also had to do, I guess, with the slaves and all that. And so then they lived very modestly after that. And he also was an editor in the local newspaper, the North Alabamian. And so, and then under in 1885, under the Cleveland administration. I forgot to put my phone on silent. There we go. He was appointed as Marshal of North Alabama, and I really wanted to go into more of that, but then I'm like, we can just go into that on a different timeline and see what's going on with him. And his father's side, was descended from Colonel Alexander Spotswood, colonial governor of Virginia. So you can see there's a lot of prominence in both sides of the family. So imagine this. So she's born. She was born perfectly healthy. Everything was great.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden she was either struck by, they said, meningitis or rubella, or it could have been scarlet fever. They weren't sure. And then all of a sudden she becomes blind and she can't hear. I mean, so you would have some recollections. I mean, I can remember it too. There's certain memories I do actually remember it too.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden that's taken away from you. So can you imagine being all like confused and you're like, why can I all of a sudden not see and not hear what is happening to me?
Was it 100% hearing loss and 100% sight?
Yeah.
Gone?
She can't see. She can't hear. So it's like all of a sudden, you know, someone's, I mean, like just happens just like that.
You're still a baby. I mean,
and you're still a baby.
Toddler.
Yeah.
Not even, you're almost a toddler.
So some people, from what I understand, are not quite happy with the film that was depicted of her because she did get unruly. So
sure,
and I get unruly too. If all of a sudden, you know, I'm not understanding why, you know, this donut I just ate, which was really great, all of a sudden I can't see the donut, where's the donut, and I can't hear anybody around me. So she was super, super frustrated, which led into lots of built-up anger. So the cool thing, though, is with the help of her mother, she did, by the age of 7, she was able to, recognize, she was able, like, through hand gestures, she was able to communicate with her family.
Wow.
But she knew that wasn't, the mom knew that, and the daughter, you know, as she's getting older, she's getting more frustrated because she can't express herself. So imagine that. Imagine me being silenced, people. That'd be super.
Makes me really want to cry.
It's super, super frustrating. So they decide to get help. They're like, well, I can't do anything more. I don't know what to do. She's becoming like unruly with people, with their siblings and everything. So the cool thing was, though, she could distinguish, which she could feel vibrations. So they always say when one sense goes, like, so if I go blind, then my ears are going to get really developed. If your sound goes away, then you're going to become more vibrational and all that. So she could actually know who was coming by the vibrations on the floor.
Wow.
So she was like probably barefooted and she knew, like, oh, there comes Dad. Which is amazing. So you do key into your other senses when you do lose senses. So this is what she did, which was very, very cool. So in March of 1887, at the age of 21, Anne Sullivan came into the picture. So they reached out to, Perkins, from the Perkins Institute for the Blind. That's where they decided to go because they're like, I don't know what to do. Let's go check out these people. And that's where Annie Sullivan, I'm not sure which way it goes, was introduced into the family. So she was actually 24 years older than Helen herself.
Wow.
So Helen would recall the day that she remembered forever, which is just makes me cry. So she remembers this day forever as her soul's birthday. Makes me want to cry. Because she, up to this point, you have to understand that she basically locked in a dark room. What do you do? Doesn't know where to go. And then this was her birthday's, her soul's birthing. So
that's really profound.
Yeah, which, like I said, just gives me chills. So Annie, she also suffered issues with her eyes. And then when she was young, had several surgeries on the eyes. So if you can imagine back then.
I can't.
I didn't even want to think back then because.
Yeah. I mean.
So they had several botched ones.
Yeah.
But then it got to a point, probably with technology, that they were able to restore her eyes to a level where she could at least see.
But the late 1800s.
Yeah, late 1800s, you know.
I can't imagine.
No, that was a real different type of time. So they did partially restore her sight, which was great. So Anne's whole belief was with Helen that if I can just get her love and obedience, get her away from the family, then she could work on her. So that's actually what they did. They actually said, hey, can you move into a cottage? And I'm going to take her away for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And she started working with her.
Interesting.
So the cool thing was, and I have to remember the name, like you said, I have to refer to things also because when you have that migraine, you're not going to remember everything. So it was the Perkins. So where Anne came from, the children there made a doll especially for Helen, which was very, very sweet. So she brought this doll to her. And so Anne's whole approach was, hey, I'm going to take your hand and then I'm going to spell out things. But, you know, a person's like, okay, sorry, my hands are rough. So you grab the hand, and then if I grabbed your hand and I'm just like, you're like, okay, what are you doing?
Right.
You know? And so she was frustrated and getting unruly with her because she didn't quite understand. And it wasn't actually, she said in her story that it wasn't until she went out to the water, because what she was trying to do was, here's a pen, and then she'd have her hold the pen, and then she another hand she'd go whatever the and so she tried to communicate. Yeah, so like, here's the item, here's what it is,
right?
And so she'd start understanding that.
Right.
So they went to the water trough, and she put her hands in there. She was doing the water, and then spelling out water as the water was coming through, right?
Yeah.
Through her hands.
Remarkable.
And it wasn't until, and I get a lot of chills on these, it wasn't until that moment, then Helen's like, this is what this is water. Okay, so that, you know, then, and it might have tapped into her subconscious of what she knew when she was younger, but then it's like, okay, I get it. Boy, I'm already on 21 minutes already. So I need to, that's why I said there's so much stuff. So she started working with her, and this just really is what she needed. And she knew that she couldn't crush her spirit by being very domineering. She had to come at it soft and gentle, because she was already so frustrated and not knowing what's going on. So it's kind of like when you, don't get mad at me, people. It's like when you have a wild horse, and the horse doesn't know you, doesn't know what you're trying to do, and you gotta befriend it. Gain trust, especially in animals. Yeah. So she's kind of in that element where she needs to have trust and that whole bit. So that's how it all began.
Very nice.
And Keller says she remembers how she began imitating Anne's gestures. So then it all kind of started clicking along. So then from there, at the age of 9, then she began to read lips. And so you're like, well, she can't see. So what she'd do is she'd put her fingers, I'm not going to put my fingers out, but they would again, she had taught her how she could do that, how she could read lips.
Wow.
So that's amazing. So her communication style started developing. So with each child, each person, I learn different than you do.
Right.
You got to figure out what's going to work best for that person. So she quickly progressed, and then she mastered the alphabet, doing the manual alphabet, and then the raised print, learning how to do the braille and all of that. And then she actually learned how to write, which I don't know. I can't even write, and I can see. She learned how to write, and it wasn't the best, but you could read it. So I just think that
was she writing
she was actually writing standard form. Okay. I don't know how they did that, so I need to go back and learn more about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried to find it, but I couldn't see it, so it's probably in her book somewhere.
More in depth.
Yeah. And so by the age of 10, then she had the desire to speak, and so then she did work with Sarah Fuller with the Horace Mann School for the Deaf and the Hard of Hearing in Boston, and they taught her 8 lessons. But she says that she remained dissatisfied with her spoken voice, so she didn't prefer to do it that way. So some little facts I've thrown in there, like squirrel facts, is that she was a feminist. And did you know the FBI monitored her?
Why?
Because they thought that she was promoting socialism. So they were on her radar because she was very strong independent woman because she had to be strong for one.
Right.
She's thrown into this situation. So they monitored. Once they became aware of her, they monitored her. And this will come more visual as I go through. So she started college at the young age of 18. And so that's in 1898 to prepare herself for the Radcliffe College. So she went through the Cambridge School for women to go to Radcliffe College. So, and then she entered that in 2 years later in 1900. She received a Bachelor's of Art degree, cum laude, in 1904, and was the first deaf and blind person to do so. So in her autobiographic, or I cannot say a word, biography. Sorry.
Well, we're two peas in a pod today.
Oh my God. The Story of My Life, that one actually has been translated into 50 different languages and it remains in print today. So, which is just amazing. So, did you know that she, in the archives, there's over 475 speeches and essays that she's wrote on topics of faith, blindness, preservation, birth control, the rise of fascism in Europe, and atomic energy. I found that interesting, atomic energy.
Yeah.
But she did know Albert Einstein. So I'll tell you a whole list of people that she knew. Yeah. So she used a Braille typewriter to prepare her manuscripts and then typed them on a regular typewriter. Amazing.
So she translated from Braille onto
the typewriter, which they... I guess you can learn because people type without, So she learned how to do that. So she wrote her first autobiography in 1903, and that was the story of her life. So she met Molly Thompson. The reason why I'm talking about this person, she's very pivotal in her whole life. So this person ended up staying with her as a companion through her later years, and she met her. She met her in 1914. So Anne ended up getting married to John where's John's last name? John, where are you, John? Oh, Macy. So in 1905, she married John Macy. And it's kind of like the Three Musketeers. They were always together, which was great. She took her under her wing, kind of like daughter, they just became such close friends, did everything together. And her health started declining, Anne's did. So they brought in Polly Thompson in 1985. So we kind of go back and forth in some of this, so that she was hired to keep up the house and stuff like that, because back in the day things were different than what we are today. So she would keep up the house. And this person came from Scotland. She was not even familiar with disabilities or any of that kind of stuff. So, but she would end up spending 46 years of her life with Helen.
Wow.
Yeah. So she became her interpreter and her companion. So how that all happened was pretty funny. Hairdresser. So they were at the hairdresser, Anne was, and then the hairdresser's like, oh, I know this person, da-da-da-da, and then the next thing you know, they meet and they like each other. Wow. So that's how Polly got introduced into Anne and Helen's life. Nice. So that was totally awesome. So Sullivan ended up passing away in 1936. But, so during that time...
So young, right?
She was, because if I think Helen, she died in 1968. What was that?
Yeah.
And she was 88. So but remember, no, she was 24 years
24 years
older.
Old.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she would have been around probably her age.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the sad part. So I know. So in June of 1916, she gets to meet this gentleman named Peter. So Peter is a socialist. That's where that comes in at.
Okay.
And he was 36 years old, and he was actually a journalist. And he became Helen's secretary also when Anne became ill. So he gets into the picture, and he starts teaching her, and they instantly fall in love. Instantly fall in love. Yeah. He's the first person to say, you are so beautiful. And she was pretty. Wow. So she'd never had that before. So they'd go on walks together. They would just totally like they were soulmates. So here's where it gets sad. So they get engaged. That's not sad. They're like, okay, we want to be together. We're going to get married. So we're back in the 1900s. And there's actually things called the ugly laws, disability laws, which are so unfathomable today. So if you're ugly, you were to stay in the house.
Oh.
If you're disabled, you were to stay in the house. You were not to marry. You were not supposed to have children. There's no reason why they should be doing that, they said. So they got engaged, and then they made plans to get married. So they went ahead and they applied for a marriage license down at the city courthouse in Alabama. So guess what? People are watching them, right? So it gets out into the newspaper. He doesn't do this. Somebody gets wind of it there. They tell, and it gets out. And then the parents find out that they're going to get married. And
his parents or her parents?
Her parents and Anne, or Annie, and they're like, "Oh no, you can't get married. You are, look at you." And they're like threatening her, threatening Peter with a gun. The other side, the son-in-law, they said it's in the family. Someone's like threatening Peter, like, "No, you're not gonna marry her."
Right.
And they actually kidnap her at midnight and take her away, so that Peter can't get to her. So then the friends on both sides are like, this is baloney, and they want to see them get together. They see how much in love they are, how much they should be together. So they send secret, they send the letters back and forth to each other, and so they're going to elope. Yeah. So something must have happened. Because on the day that she snuck out, she packed her bag, she got out, she met to the rendezvous spot that they were supposed to be at. Guess what?
He's dead.
No, he never showed.
Did he die?
No, he didn't die. He never showed. And what she presumes, it's because there was so much pressure.
Yeah.
Because, Peter was fired. Forgot to tell you, Peter was fired from the paper.
That's terrible.
There was so much stigma with this, and Peter had so much pressure from everybody that he gave up the love of his life. So again, I'm going to get chills. So she remembers that day vividly.
Sure.
And in here, she actually referenced to, she goes, years later, perhaps it was for the best. She recalls, his love was a bright sun that shone upon my helplessness and isolation. She refers to his time as her little island of joy in a sea of darkness.
I'm going to cry.
I know. So she never did find out why. She didn't die, but she just presumed it was just all the pressure. They weren't supposed to be together. So she actually did. She had 7 trips that she traveled on from 1946 to 1957. She visited, hear me out, people, this person's blind and cannot hear. She went to 35 countries. 5 continents. She met world leaders such as Winston Churchill. I cannot pronounce these people's names. Can you? I was hoping she could. Those people's names?
Jawaharlal Nehru, Golda Meir. I know Golda Meir.
Okay, yeah.
And
so
he's obviously from South Africa.
That's what I thought.
Africa.
1948, she was sent to Japan as America's first goodwill ambassador by Douglas MacArthur. That visit was so huge that there was up to 2 million people that came out to see her. So it drew a lot of attention to the blind and disabled population over there. Yeah. So she worked for the Foundation for the Blind for more than 40 years.
Amazing.
Yeah. So do you know that she's also known as being an author?
No, I did not.
She has, and I have a list of them, but I won't go into them because there's so many of them. She wrote 14 books.
Okay. Wow.
She's been famous ever since she was 8. So she's had publicity on her ever since she was 8 until her death. She continues to be prominent to this day. She has countless personalities and friends. So Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt were in her life. Will Rogers, Albert Einstein, Emma Goldman, Eugene Debs, Charlie Chaplin, John F. A. Kennedy, Andrew Carnegie, oh my God, we're talking about Henry Ford, Dwight Eisenhower, Kathleen Cornell, and Joe Davidson. I'm not sure who Joe Davidson is, but this person, she met all the, what was it? I think I have it on the, she met like all the presidents during her life she has met.
Well,
Who does that?
She was such an inspiration.
She was so inspirational. Oh, she also knew Mark Twain and Alexander Graham Bell. So Mark Twain goes into what we were talking about earlier. So her accolades after she's passed, so this was before she passed, but accolades 1964, she was awarded by Lyndon B. Johnson the Presidential Medal of Freedom, one of the United States' second highest awards to get, or honors. 1965, she was elected to the National Women's Hall of Fame. So she was elected, and then in 73, she was inducted into that same Hall of Fame. 1980, she actually became issued stamp commemorating her birth, which was so cool, centennial. She was also listed in the Gallups as the most widely admired person of the 20th century. She was also named one of Time's magazine's 100 most important people of the 20th century.
Wow.
I mean, and I'm just touching the surface. In 2003, and she's been gone for so long, Alabama honored her on a quarter. So she has a stamp, a quarter. They actually did a bronze statue of her. There's a hospital named after her in Alabama. And then she has streets named after her in Zurich, Switzerland, in US, Spain, Vienna, Australia, Lebanon, Portugal, and France. There's also a preschool that's named in India. So she was the reason why she's so influential. And then here's a whole chronology. She actually did Broadville.
Wow.
And there's a whole chronology. Lists out her whole. Where was it? She did vaudeville. Where'd it go?
So amazing.
Where'd it go?
Incredible.
And then she, like in 1904, Helen Ann buy a home on several acres. I mean, she didn't let nothing stop her. But where's the vaudeville? She thought it was back up here.
Well, it's good that Polly stayed with her though all those years after Anne.
Oh, here it's a couple pages up here. Oh, absolutely. In 1920, Anna and Annie began their vaudeville career. Look at this. I have three. Is it 3, 4? I have 3 pages full of all the awesome things. So she was a proponent for women's rights. And what she did for the American Foundation of the Blind is amazing. So I know we went longer on her.
No, it's good.
Like I said, she's extremely inspirational. She has a lot of great quotes that I didn't pick those up on, but I know you got some wonderful quotes. But I just can't think enough about how she had such adversity, and she spun and she led her life to the fullest.
Well, and thank God that Anne Sullivan came into her life.
Anne Sullivan was her saving. Yeah. That was her soul's birthday. She says
that's insane.
And then she did have Polly. Yeah. So Polly Polly came in after I kind of squirreled it. Polly came in after Peter left. So I'm sorry about that. I kind of didn't get the layout quite right. So Peter went away, and then Polly came in, and then Anne passed away, and then Polly stayed with her be her interpreter and her companion for the rest of her life.
That's amazing.
And then Polly passed before she passed. So
wow, if I could go back in time, I wish I could have met Helen Keller.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
Yeah, I feel for her. I can feel her
energy,
and then
energy is a good thing.
Go through her frustration and all of that. I can understand right where she's going. But you always pick out these amazing quotes, so I'd love to hear what you have for us today.
First, thank you. No, that was a great story, and I didn't know how it was going to go. I never know, like when we pick someone, how I'm going to feel, and it definitely stirs a lot of emotions, and. Just because someone's disabled, don't count them out.
Oh no, they did say Peter and her had an intimate. So I mean, the good thing is she did have.
That's good.
The love of her life. Yeah. She was able to get close to somebody. It did end not the way we wanted it to, but don't count. I talked over you. Sorry. Don't count anybody.
You can talk over me. Anyway.
But it just reminded me because they did have an intimate relationship. So
that's amazing. That's
you don't need to speak and see to find someone's soul.
No, you don't. You don't. And you can feel that in energy with people. So she was the true energy bender, I'd say.
Oh, yeah.
You know, wow. Oh, I just touched my mic. I'm sure that was fun. Anyway.
It's all good.
Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. This is amazing. I love us doing this podcast because I didn't know that she had a love life, and I didn't know all the amazing things that she did.
For anyone, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, sure.
But she had an amazing life. But go ahead.
So, a couple of today's quotes. Never judge someone without knowing the whole story.
Oh.
You may think you understand, but you don't. And I think that's true as we go through life, whether it's a grocery clerk or whomever we meet someone at work, or it's a client, you know, or it's just a passerby. We'd like to judge them, but we really don't know their story and what they're suffering. Or
that ties perfectly into Helen Keller.
It does, because, you know.
And she didn't know who was doing it until the very last minute, so she's got some intuitiveness there. You knew.
Absolutely. No, me. Oh, no, me.
Yes, you do.
So this other one, and that was from INTA _ quote from Instagram. I love Instagram.
Oh yeah, they have great quotes.
Or it could have been on Facebook, but I think it was.
I think it's based on Instagram.
And then this one's on Instagram, positive energy _plus. The quote is, "No matter how you feel, get up, dress up, show up, and never give up." Oh, is that hard?
Yeah. That was me today. Yeah. I wanted to say, Iris, I need to stay in bed for a little bit longer with this migraine. But
so with that said, we're glad you showed up for us, and
glad you showed up for us.
Listen to our stories, and if you have a story you'd like to share, you can email us at coffeeandapodcast with the number 3 @gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. And it's the word "and," so it's spelled all out. Coffee and
I guess podcast. I've heard now there's a lot of coffee and podcasts out there, but on our Gmail it's just the number 3. And you can find us on Spotify, YouTube. TikTok under Coffee and a Podcast spelled out.
Spelled out. And then we
have links on our Instagram.
Yep, we'll have it all at the bottom. We'd love your support, and to subscribe and follow us and give us your feedback. And then also, if you give us feedback, give us, positive things, constructive feedback, because we're not perfect and we're new at this and the whole bit, but anyway. Also
thanks for showing up today.
Exactly, I was going to squirrel off, but also we're going to also be on Apple as well. We just have it, our producer Alex Chapman. We haven't quite gotten there yet, so
we'll get there.
We're new at this, so
we're having a good time though.
Absolutely. So
anyway, thanks for listening today.
From our hearts to yours.
Aww.
Yeah. Aww. You guys go make it a great day.
Go make some donuts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And like I said, these are just, I'm going to eat the other one before we're all done and said. So anyway.
Thanks for coming.
All right. Make it a great day.
Thanks for coming out.
Ciao.
Hey, this is a mini episode 3. We're backtracking a little because we forgot to do it. Hi, Sherilyn.
Hello.
Sherilyn.
How are you?
I'm Iris.
Hello, Iris. And
she forgets me all the time.
No,
it's okay.
I was having a squirrel moment.
Today,
no, I was thinking of her. Last time I introduced her as Forcier, and that is not her name. I was having I don't know what. It's Forcier. It's very, very French. It's very Forcier. Forcier. That's Forcier. So.
Très bien.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is important. I was driving here today, and Sherilyn has experienced something very traumatic, which I'm surprised she's not in therapy for. I'm going to have to go to therapy for her, I think. Because she had 10 trees fall on her house. So this is a PSA to renters, homeowners, anyone, everyone. And when
what made that think?
Well, I was driving here,
what made you think of that?
Well, I thought of your neighborhood, and I thought, this is so sad that one young girl passed away because of it. A tree. She
was just 20 years old.
Her house. I thought she was younger even.
No, I think she was 20.
And it shouldn't have happened. I think
too young.
that we forget about natural disasters and how they can be prevented.
Easily
and I
prevented.
think in your neighborhood, and I'm sure you can't go into all the logistics of that yet,
Right.
but you can tell your story. And
Sure.
I'm glad you're alive. And
Ugh, me
I
too.
drove right out when I heard it happened, and I was devastated for you.
Helped us out a lot.
No,
I was
her
and her husband were
devastated
amazing
for
because you helped us
almost
get in
died. You almost died. And
here. I try not to think of that.
10 trees, people.
Yeah.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. 10 trees went through Cheryl Ann's house.
I know my mate doesn't like to think about that, and he's
Yeah.
like, he underplays it because he's like,
Yeah.
no one's gonna believe 10, but
We
they
counted.
actually they were they
Yeah.
so what happened
Yeah.
is it was November 4th of
23.
2022.
No, 22.
Two,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Because we just had an anniversary where the winds were blowing so bad I had to sleep
Okay.
up on the top of the hill. So anyway,
Okay.
so we'd lost power
Right.
like around 10 o'clock, and we were all snuggling, and then all of a sudden the dog Leia was coming into the bedroom, and she's not normally allowed into the bedroom, and just because there's no room, she
Yeah.
we went, big bad hug, and so I love my dog, but there's not even enough room for the two of us. We keep thinking about getting a king size. Anyway, squirrel woman. So she comes in, she kept coming in, and I'm like, there must be something wrong. We have a lot of limbs come down and really heavy and scary. And we should have left then, but we didn't even know this little storm was going to come through, right?
Right.
So all of a sudden I take her, I'm like, okay, let's go look. And I got my little headlight that I use when we're on a walk, and I
Yeah.
come through our kitchen, I shine it back here through the window, and I'm like, see girl, it's all okay. And I remember like this, and then all of a sudden I step back, and all I can hear is like what I swear it was like a freight train coming through my house, and the crunch, and then something hit me in the head, and then I can't even explain how crazy all of that was.
Wow.
So right beside me, like as close as like right here,
Yeah.
there was a limb that had come through. Well, more than a limb, trees all come through, but that came right down. So if I would have moved any faster, I would have been dead for that, because that would have
Wow.
come right through me. In the bedroom, there's sheetrock falling down on my mate, and then later the joist had come down right above the bed on that side. So what basically happened is this is the house, and the trees came down. We live in the back of an NGPA. They all came down and went. So 10 of them went right through the house. We have high ceilings, so you can imagine. I'm looking at trees that are hanging off my cupboards, and the story that I know you want me to dwell on, and not all the devastation, because we could be here for hours, is that you would think that this little greenery area back here would be the city, would be maintaining it. No, it's called an NGPA, Native Growth Protective Area.
Okay.
And in finding out, it's actually owned by Faith Estates, all 32 homes over on the other side of that area, and they're supposed to maintain it. And in the city of Washington, unless you give them prior
State of
notice,
Washington.
what did I say?
City.
Oh, state. Sorry.
Wa-
See,
no,
I'm-
no,
my
I was
head.
just-
I got a headache. So, the state of Washington. There's a law that says you can't go after any insurance or anybody unless you've given them proper notice.
Right.
So I first learned, and I have given them notice now after the fact. So there's still 4 dooming trees back there. So I've had to take this all on my own, because in sending out all the information given by the tree guy, which is phenomenal, Hitman Tree, Mike and Connie are amazing.
Okay.
They super supportive. We gave them notice that it's got to come down. They've got to take care of this greenbelt area.
Yeah.
But what I had to do was I had to spend $650 of my own money, get a master arborist out. And now what we do a year later, because this all takes time, in the meantime, there's such a story that goes on behind it. Yeah. We're back in our house August, September, October, about 3 months before the anniversary date of it being rebuilt. But where I'm going off to with this is They will be held accountable for this back. They will have to pay for those trees coming down.
Okay.
And because we don't want anybody to get killed, because we could have both easily been killed. The dog could have been killed. Leia made it out okay. A girl, a 20-year-old, in around this area, she was at the top sleeping. A tree came and took her all the way down. And people need to be aware. So what you're asking me to do is, hey, so if you have any friends or you yourself, you live around trees that are especially cottonwood, because they are very heavy. They can fall at any time. They're shallow rooters, and that's what came down. You send out a notice to your neighbors and make it official. And then you go to the city, so the city knows wherever you're at, what you're doing.
Okay.
And you can get us being in real estate, we privy to that, but actually the city did provide that for me, so I didn't have to go do that.
Okay.
And we sent it to everybody that's on those the papers.
How is that going, by the way?
So now what I have to do is I've got to take now that we've got the arborist information and I'll take pictures of my home. We will put that all together.
Okay.
We've got the amount that they need to pay to the tree guy.
Okay.
And they're gonna have to take care of that. Then they're gonna have to worry about replanting and what they're supposed to do. So there is all this step, and I've paid that for them, for them to get that done. So it's that's our next step.
Will they have to reimburse you for anything at all to the money that you just put out to do that, or no? Just
legally,
forward?
They don't have to. It'd be a nice gesture, people, but they don't have to. I'm doing it because I love my neighbors.
Yeah, and
I don't want to see anybody killed
or your house be destroyed.
My house be destroyed again. Oh my gosh, that would be horrible. I don't want to go through that again.
No.
So we did get it rebuilt and got some advantages from that, but the stress has been phenomenal. That's why I'm going grayer and.
But Cheryl Ann is amazing that she turned something so negative into something so positive. But definitely reaching out to people. If you have trees, get them taken down. It's worth the money.
And that's the way I see it.
Yeah, even if you have to pay for it, it's not worth losing someone's life over when it can be avoided.
No, exactly.
Anyway, we just wanted to touch on that today, and thank you for listening.
Absolutely.
And
so
thank you for telling this story. I know that's hard for you.
Oh yeah, it does get hard, because when I go back and I look at the pictures, it actually makes me cry, because it looks like a bomb went off in the house, and we don't have pictures on the top, which I kind of wish we did. I guess kind of maybe not, but it's awareness. So what she's also saying is be your own advocate.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can see that, no disrespect, I mean, it sounds negative, but nobody over there except for one of those homeowners, which the trees will never hit him, is going to be walking around with me and delivering all those notices. He's been great.
Too, if you need help.
Oh yeah, no, we'll just make a whole park day.
I'll volunteer, absolutely.
So he was great, because he had to be here present when the arborist was here, because I legally can't put an arborist, that's another thing, back in an area that's not mine. It's trespassing. So we had that neighbor here with us, and he gave permission to go be back there and to do what he did.
Well, let me know if you need help. I'm willing to go.
So if you guys have any questions on that, of course I'm not legal advice, but I'll give you all of what I went through. But you got to be aware of your surroundings.
Absolutely.
Things
Number one.
fall over all the time, and the reason why I know that you're touching on this is because we just went through a cold snap. Now we're going to get lots of rain. We're going to have flooding. We're going to have trees that are going to come down.
We live in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, Pacific Northwest. It's
and
beautiful,
it can happen
but it's
anywhere.
dangerous.
Anywhere in areas where, sometimes it can happen in dry areas too, where you don't get a lot of rain, and then you get torrential downpour.
Oh, that's a very good point.
So I mean, in other parts of the country, they go through tornadoes and all different kinds of things. We're just pointing out what we have in our area and what Cheryl Ann went through.
I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, Cheryl Ann turned it into something positive.
Yay. So no, I appreciate that.
I'll help any way I can.
Oh my gosh, these guys were amazing. Moved so much stuff, and that was so chaotic.
No, we got to help more.
But
we got to go get people, we got to be active and get the people back there involved and get those trees down.
Exactly. So things don't wait for someone to do it, I guess, is what she's saying, what I'm saying, because
that was our little mini-sode 3.
Mini-sode 3, yeah.
Mini-sode 3, and thank you for listening to us.
We appreciate your support, and thank you for listening, and until next time.
And you can email us anytime at coffeeandapodcast3@gmail.com.
And it's and spelled out. So coffee and the podcast. 3.
Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you. Great topic. All right, have a great day.
You too. Hey, it's Iris and Cheryl Ann.
Hey.
We're back with mini episode 4, talking about pipes bursting.
Yep.
Winter. It's winter here. It's going to be February when you see this. So we're just giving a little PSA because Cheryl Ann had this happen to her, and several businesses and real estate I went to look at also had this happen where the pipes burst, and Cheryl Ann's going to talk to us about that today. Very important.
I'm hearing this buzzing, and so I'm like, maybe it's my phone trying to call. That's why I have this weird look on my face. I'm like, what is going on? I don't know. You guys are calling us already? We will do live episodes, so that will be fun. But meantime, yes, we're going to talk about.
It'd be scary.
There's
no button to push them off if they're saying something rude, though, or mean or derogatory. We have to have a button, Cheryl.
I know. Mute. Sorry.
We're coffee and a podcast, by the way.
Exactly. I think I probably need more of it, or maybe I've had too much. I don't know. But this is the pipe. You see that right there?
That's
crazy. That little cut right there. Wow. So this came out of the garage. So what happens is and I guess let me back up. So generally, you do have pipes. This pipe is the spigot pipe. So your outside spigot's here, and this is the line that goes through and connects up. So generally small. You would have, it is very small copper. You would have the styrofoam wrap around it. Right. So you should. If you don't, then you need to get that. So that helps protect it. But what the challenge is that
it didn't protect this.
It didn't protect this enough, but then we went down to like 14-degree weather. So my dad used to tell me that, hey, you always want to drip your faucets. Make sure that. See, I got that little buzzing going on again. I do not know what's going on with my phone, but maybe it's buzzing in my head. So here.
It's a wee bit buzzy.
Yeah, it's a wee bit buzzy. So I don't know. So maybe I've hit the wrong button. But so I'll scroll back. So the whole premise is that if your water lines are dripping, then the water's free flowing like your natural cascades. But even your cascades will freeze. I mean, even my brother's Palouse, it froze. Where, it can only help so much when you have super, super cold water.
Right.
Or weather, freezing weather. So what happened was it got too cold. There was water still from the summer left in there. And apparently, I guess, and it got to a point where it just burst and made this really bad, nasty hole. So what do you do when that happens? We were hearing noise and we're like, this is kind of weird. My mate thought it was a neighbor that has a diesel and thought maybe it was a diesel engine running. And then they left and they came in like, what's that noise? And I'm like, I had the washer going. And normally I don't wash or take a shower when it's super, super cold, just to help minimize any risks of water getting trapped and the hot and the cold and then snapping. Because the instant, you don't want to put hot water on ice on your windshield because you're going to shatter it. So it's kind of like that premise. So I wouldn't normally do it, but I'm like, I got to get some laundry done, people. So I went ahead and did it.
What bursted?
No, because this was the spigot line from the outside. So I just think it got cold enough. There was water in there. It just got trapped. Okay. And so what we did, we had to move all the stuff I just put there. It was all the holiday stuff, which is still over here from last weekend. We just want to make sure it was all good. Now we're through the temperatures. I can move it all back today and tomorrow. Yeah. And we moved that all away. And then what you want to do, first we went out and saw that there's water all over the ground. In the garage, okay. then you need to know where your tool's at. So you need to have the tool handy. You need to know where your shutoffs are in your house.
Yeah, I don't know.
You need to, it's super important. You need to have like a binder that has all your important information, all your warranty information, so that you can go right to that and know what's going on.
Very important.
I make sure that when I'm working with my clients, I set them up with their binder.
Nice.
They have all the information that they need, warranties, permits, anything. So you have that all right there. So you shut off the water. Then we're like, okay, it's wet here, but where exactly? So we cut in the sheetrock, and we're like, nope, it's not there. Turned on the water a bit, and then the minute I saw it leaking, shut the water off. Then I could see, nope, you need to go over on this side. So we're able to locate it and see that this is where it had broke open. And then you just have to go get the repair stuff, which we were very lucky because everybody and their brother was at Home Depot because
everything's bursting everywhere.
And there was, I guess, throughout the whole area, they're out of, I think even the state, they're out of the heat tape. We were lucky to get the last of the couplings because he tried one thing and then he ended up doing this other type of, forget what he called it, a different type, because he was soldering and wasn't getting good solder because of course it's wet.
Right.
So then he went back up and gosh, I wish I could remember what they were called, but they worked perfect. It's kind of like when you put your finger in that thing where it's can't get it back out. So it was that type of premise. And then we just we left it all open. He actually did put a shutoff in there so that we could, if it was leaking in the future, we'll put a little cover over it. We could just quickly turn it off that way, and not have to turn off the whole water to the house, so we can isolate it. But anyway, so there's no insulation on the inside of the garage. That's why the garage is so cold. So in the future, we know that is an area of concern. We'll make sure that we can't pull everything out right now because it's not the right weather.
Too cold.
But we'll go get in there and we'll get the insulation and all of that.
Would that really stop it though? Because I mean,
it may not.
I saw stores like at Factoria, water was pouring out. We looked at condos to go look at. There was so much water damage everywhere, and I mean, is there any I wonder if there's any foolproof guarantee. If anyone knows, you could email us at coffeeandapodcast3@gmail and let us know.
Yeah, well, I did learn that they do have what they call is heat tape. They have the stuff that you can wrap around your pipes and plug in and keep them warm. The best thing you can do is just make sure that your pipes are really well insulated with that foam wrap and then other insulation around it. Okay. So it gets it out of it's especially a lot of the older homes. Now this home was only built in 89.
Right.
But it just depends on how it's constructed. So if you do have them wrapped really well, and then you have a lot of good insulation and you got that barrier and that underneath your house, that's why it's so important when you are looking at purchasing a home, or you already got your home and you didn't think about it and you've had it for many years, have someone crawl underneath there that you trust and take a look at it. We're very lucky because our downstairs you could actually make into a downstairs. There is a sub pump, so we would have to work on some moisture issues that are down there, but I did have Brian, he's an inspector, he said, yeah, you could easily convert this into living space. We've got plenty of room, so it's like a whole nother downstairs. So we're very lucky that way that we can go down there and we can really see what's going on. Some people, you just
can you actually
walk under there? Oh, you can, we've got so much room above our head. Really? It's totally, not to the height here because this is vaulted, but it's totally, probably about 8 foot, 9 foot ceiling down below.
8 foot by what though?
It's the whole size of this upstairs is the same downstairs. So we have
the whole
upstairs is the same size downstairs is the same.
What kind of foundation is that?
It's it's raised because the NGPA in the back,
right,
and because of the water, it slopes out, so
Okay.
it could actually become we could make it a daylight basement if we wanted to, but that's a lot of extra expense, and probably
Yeah.
about a $75,000
Not worth it,
for us to
really.
do it.
Yeah.
But you know,
But you have a lot of insulation to do.
so
what I'm hearing, right?
well, no, downstairs knock on wood, we've been good that way. It's just this is an inner pipe of the wall that just had that wrap, and it's an exposed wall.
Oh,
So it's not like we've got the whole house heat
right.
down, you know, that's going to benefit from that. And then it's all closed in down there.
Okay.
So this is like an out here. You've got
I
the
see.
pipe,
I see.
and then you've got the wall.
Right.
So it's really more of an exposed wall than underneath the house.
Okay.
So that's why, my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, that's why you're going to have that one's going to pipe sooner.
Okay.
Yeah, and my mate did get a lot of calls on bursting pipes. So it's just something to keep in mind, to really know where your shut-off valves are.
Yeah.
Take a look at your piping. When you take care of your piping, it takes care of you, and it doesn't leak and explode. So that could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
We don't know if there's other parts of it that are compromised. So we're just going to hold off, and we'll deal with that when it's warmer weather.
Okay.
And then make sure that we've got it all properly insulated.
Yeah.
And then
So
it could have been, I'm like I'm saying, you and I were talking, we were home.
Yeah. Thank God.
Thank
you
goodness.
heard it.
It could have happened in the middle of the night. It could have happened when we're out and about, and 4 hours later you come back and you're
ruined.
into
Which I've
Smallville.
seen. Like I said, we were out looking at condos, and whole areas were destroyed. Basements, and there are common areas at condo buildings and stuff.
Well, that's why they always say you got to keep your heat on to at least 65, because you want to keep it warm. If you're not in your home, say like you've got a rental property or you're getting a property ready to market, open up those cupboards. So the reason for opening that up is to let that warm air in. You want it to be around your pipes. You've got to keep the temperature at a certain temperature so you do not come in. Across the street from my daughter's house, I know we're getting close in our time because we want to make them shorter little segments.
It's a mini episode.
Our little mini, is that house stayed vacant for 9 years, which is really sad.
Yeah.
So I even looked into buying it, and it was a short sale.
Right.
And short sales are weird. This was a short sale because the bank will be like, yeah, we're going to offer it at $222,000, but they really want $324,000, and they'll reject it. Yeah. So it sat that long, and then what happened? Nobody was monitoring it, and one of the bathroom pipes burst in the bathroom and flooded it. Yeah. And then I'm trying to think how they would keep an eye on it, and so would the neighbor, and they would cut it so people wouldn't try to vandalize it and make it look like someone was living there.
Right.
Well, somehow I think they saw the water, and then I think the neighbor guy had a connection to somebody to get a hold of them. The bottom line is by the time they got there, that house was so infested with mold that everything had to be ripped up.
So
it's really
a tear
sad.
down, basically.
Well, yeah, they had to gut the whole thing. They do have people living there. Somebody 9 years later bought it off market somehow, and now it's a rental, which is great, and the people are really great. But it's just
wrap your pipes.
Yeah, wrap your pipes.
Wrap your pipes. That's what this episode.
Wrap these pipes, not wrap with them, but wrap them.
Anyway, thanks for listening today.
Yeah, it's just important, especially during the cold weather, and just to know where your shut-off tool is and where your shut-off water main shut-off is, and know where your breakers are. I mean, you should know where your breakers are.
And we realize you might live in other parts of the country or the world where you have different problems. Tornadoes, hurricanes, and that's not funny, I know, but I'm getting punch drunk here.
No, exactly. But it is what you're trying to allude to. Is this is our emergency. Yeah. But you may be in a place where you got to have a shelter. Mm-hmm. You've got to be prepared. I mean, and we Alex and I were just talking about this and we were touching on it earlier with the ice and slush that we had here in the Pacific Northwest, is keeping a little mini shovel, keeping that little prepared. If you're in cold weather, you want to make sure you have some little food. Yeah. How many people have been stranded?
I know.
And they haven't had blankets. I mean,
Yeah.
so look at your area that you're in, and if it's alligators, you make sure you have what's, going to be good for alligators or snakes.
Okay, let's not go there.
But no, I mean, bears.
We have digressed.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
let's not
you
go
just
there.
want to be prepared for the area that
More
you're
preparedness.
at.
And that's why we went over this, because this was important. And it happened to Cheryl Ann.
I know. Who knew that I would have
A burst pipe.
a burst pipe? So
Yeah. Good
preventable.
PSA, I think.
I think so too. So thank you for asking. Hopefully this has helped. And again, like she said, we'd love to hear any comments, any other suggestions of important things, many little topics that you'd like us to cover.
Sure.
Alrighty.
Okay. Have a good day.
Ciao for now. Bye.